Hey, Pussy new little video. And this one I'm pretty psych about it. And basically, what I'm going to be talking about, just let me put some stuff here so I get my computer ready. Um, it's We're back with another video of the self reliance. And yeah, I know I was supposed to do one in a month and everything, but ideas are just coming through too much in my head as I think I won't be able to hold too much. But this one I really like. And it kind of stays in the same mentality than the three parts that I did earlier this month. And the reason is that um, the thing is that we're going to be kind of approaching a lot of knowledge. I mean, we're talking about trying to, like, for example, if you're an emergency doctors, and it would take about 4 years to be med students, so to become a doctor. So that would be 4 years in university, and then about 5 years, depending on the program, to specialize in emergency. And this is like we're talking like full time, and with that you have like your residency. So that means you're like working for nothing. You're paid like thing one resident one time check, and the parker meter outside in the parking lot was making more an hour that she was making. But that's another question. But the thing is that so we're going to try to do this, and then suddenly you're like, here you are, you're in charge of this, and suddenly you have to take almost decisions like those and mix with a lot of stuff. So, like I was saying before, I got this little book that I bought and I'm using quite often, and try to show a little bit. So basically, there are diagrams like this, and it's all the information. So it's per complaint. So basically, if you have like a skin rash or something like this, it kind of goes and like this one won't be so much in, but you see like and what if you have this, what happened and stuff like this and things like that. I don't know why I came to that page. Maybe I should read it. But here another one. So hyperglycemia means high sugar. So basically, this is the there we go. So there's one, two, three, four different things that could create a sugar grader, and those numbers over there you won't be familiar with them because friends from the states, because you're using a different setups for those. I think it's DD something. But anyway, but this is what. So basically, what I thought is that this helps a lot because, especially as some of you non as um, um, trained medically or large background in medical, I think it will be very hard. And don't forget also that you're now going to have to take a lot of decisions in situation of under stress, under fatigue, and a lot of people will be looking into you because if you have people that have not been prepared and everything, and they'll come to your door because now suddenly the people that were laughing at you or something, suddenly you're like, hey, you're a very nice guy, or a very nice Pusinette, or a very nice Pusino. So they will come to you, and so suddenly you'll be in charge of all the and take a lot of decision, and it's gonna be hard. So basically, what I decided is put them into rhythms like that. And the first one will be the general approach. It's basically a little bit more. All what I said before is right there, and my mentality of this is that, and we'll go through it soon, is that it will help because when we start talking about those subjects and things like that, we'll go back into this. And basically, what I would like to do is kind of a system like this, but like a little bit like a checklist that, for example, people like pilots and things like that have. So they make sure that everything has been done, and I think it will really help. So we'll try to condense a lot of information into a checklist. I don't know if it will be possible and everything, but so far the first one looks pretty good, and I think it will help. And as well, now you can build your kit as well like this. You'll have a better idea once I start showing it. But your kit, for example, will be maybe a color coded related to trauma, and then basically now if something happens, you grab the red bag, which has all your trauma kit, which will discuss whatever you should put in it, and you grab the red bag, and now you have your trauma. And inside you have, for example, your checklist of the trauma or whatever we're gonna come out with as a system. So so let's go back to, and as you're going to see down, there'll be the PDF. Hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't work, but it'll be the PDF of this and print it. And I would probably, and that's probably what I'm going to do, laminate those things, put it in the kit, and so that it can help. And I say I'm probably going to do it because don't forget that you may be the one that needs that care. So you may be the one that, because you have more knowledge than most people or something, you're doing something and suddenly you put yourself in risk, so you go unconscious or you get hurt or something like this. Now somebody has to do your work. So it's always good that the preparation you're doing, you're thinking that you may need it as well. So somebody will need to be able to read those things, and so that's why I'll laminate exactly the work, even if it's probably going to be in my head and stuff. But even then, stress, fatigue, and everything will be great list to to remember this and stuff and put up your set. So let's go through it. So again, the one will be in PDF, and I'll just kind of throw. So at first we'll make distinction before first aid and care. And why it will be important to make this? Because first aid will remain first aid. So for example, if you have someone that you have to do CPR, don't start asking questions too much about do I have the resource or whatever to do and things like that. And we'll talk a little bit more about triage. We keep talking about triage, but triage of mass casualty and the tools to use and stuff like this, and we'll talk about it. But if you have a many victims and things, but it will remain that you'll do your first aid. So if you cut yourself, don't start asking too much questions because you're going to bleed to death. So it'll become useless to do that stuff. So if you think that you need first aid, so if you need to the airway to be open, the bleeding to be stopped, the respiration to stop, your CPR, all the basic stuff will remain there. And so if you need your first aid, really important to start doing your first aid. And so that's why right at the top it's first aid. And we won't go through much into that stuff because you pretty much know. I'll show you the kit that I carry. And the important thing will be to have like almost all the basic stuff in one kit. And mine is the crush-proof stuff that I have, the Pelican case. They're floating, they're crush-proof and everything. So that way it's really important. It's a small kit. You take that, and basically you can take care of all the needs for the first aids, the first dressings, the first stop the bleedings and stuff. So they'll be mostly what you have in your kit. So that will be the first question. Then when we get into this line, so the care, so basically now it's going to be long-term stuff. So the first question, like we were talking before in the other videos, will be, is it longer than a month or shorter than a month? And we discuss about it, and we won't go back more into it, but because I think in the month will be really important to make that difference. But as well, I said a month, but if, for example, again, that plane crash where you're limited resource, even if it's 72 hours, you're probably going to be more in that category of I'm limited resource, what can I use? But you probably wouldn't have your checklist, but the mentality would be there. So that's why in that graph it goes into two, and there's a yes and no. So for example, that's the 1 month, and then there's a yes and there's a no. And then in the yes, I put another checklist. And the reason I'm going to put a checklist, and again, it's not made in anything like this, and we'll work on that one, is there's going to be a bunch of questions that probably is going to be important. So it's like, okay, I think this situation, whatever it is, and that's why I stay general, because I don't want to put, so for example, Katrina, you would have been, well, maybe it's 2 weeks, or it would probably be less than a month, I'm pretty sure. But then if you get close to the 3 weeks, you're like, whoa, okay, now that seems like it's going to go back. You're going to change. So it's saying, and that's why I don't want to go with situation and give too much example, because I want to keep it general so that it applies to a whole bunch of stuff. And that checklist, that's what it's going to help you. It's going to ask you questions that you're like, okay, do I have to move? So, for example, if you're in Katrina and your whole house is flooded, well, that's going to affect the kind of care that you're going to have. Because if you have to leave a lot of gear behind you and stuff like this, so for example, if we were talking about when you go into the past the 1 month, you'll probably need like resources that you can reproduce, and we're talking about probably herbs that you grow or something like this. Well, if they're flooded, then you're limited in your resources. So that will probably be one of the questions. If you have chronic condition, that will affect as well, because now if you're past the 1 month, it will be harder to keep up some of the medication that you can have and stuff like that, or your supplies. So that will affect a lot of your care. So I thought that a checklist will be very handy. And again, it's not made and everything. And as we go more towards that project and advance and exchange and discuss, probably it will start coming more, oh yeah, that would be a good question, that would be a good question. But I think a good checklist would be good there to sit down, check your resource, check what you have and everything. So that's why I put perform the checklist. Then right after that, in the if it's will probably be less than a month, then you can use probably the gear that you have. And so the next question I ask, and because that is that you need to move. If you're going to be needed to be on the move, then that's probably going to modify as well. Are you going to take care of the people? Because, for example, again, if you have all your gear in a certain setup and stuff like this, and suddenly now you're on the move, well, depending where you'll be able to move. So, for example, again, Katrina, where or Haiti, where there's no houses, no nothing, no structures. Well, probably your resource or how you're going to take care will be stuff. So that's why in the yes part, I put another checklist. And again, that checklist will be to work up, because I think if you're on the move, your care will be changing and will be affected. So basically, in the best condition is that you won't have to do first aid. It won't be less than a month, and you won't have to bug out. Then it will be kind of long-term care, but in less than a month. So you probably the system you think that will probably kind of catch up, or somebody will be able to reach you with supplies and things like that. Then 4 questions, and that's where we're gonna start putting our gear together. I believe there's kind of everything that you can kind of see in medicine. It's kind of like 4 categories that will probably fit. Everything will fit in it, and it will be trauma, medical, chronic condition, and surgical. And so basically, each of those categories would have his own kit, and also his own kind of question like this, to try to put as much condition that you can get on that, and put all the knowledge and everything. So that way, like I was saying, you grab a bag and everything you have. And so we'll talk each more as the project goes. We'll be talking more about those conditions and stuff. But like for example, pediatric is not there. I think we'll probably have to do like a special thing if you have kids involved in things. Maybe a special bag. It probably either will go either in those. But again, those needs to be clubbed. But if you can write your comments down, and if you like it, don't like it, if it helps you, if that kind of stuff is more confusing than anything, let me know. But please write your comments and stuff, and that's where, like, I want your opinions on those things. But I think we're on something here. So hopefully that was helpful and that you enjoyed. Talk to you soon.